We're all set.
Perfect. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Rebecca, are you going to be doing roll call?
Nope, I believe that's going to be Tanessa.
All right, Tanessa?
Thanks, Sean.
No problem. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
All right. Jacob Beach,
Present in Kalamazoo.
Gabriela De La Cruz,
Present in the city of Kalamazoo.
Jessica Glenn,
Present in the city of Kalamazoo.
Marissa Harrington. Okay. Deshaun Houston,
Present in the city of Kalamazoo.
Janine Brown, Dr. Angela Graham Williams, okay.
Now, I will say that Director Brown, Dr. Angela Graham Williams, or Director Angela Graham Williams, and I believe we received a message from Director Harrington as well that they would be absent. So I know that I'm assuming we have to vote to accept that. Did I do that out of order?
I'm sorry, is there a motion? Did I miss?
I said, did I do that out of order?
No.
Is that out of order? Okay. So, do we accept the absence of Director Harrington, Director Brown, and Director Angela Graham Williams as absent because of their prior notifications, emails? I'd like to call a motion for that.
Second?
No, chair can't make the
I can't
motion.
do first.
Oh, I motion to accept the absences as stated by the chair.
You have one.
And
Can I hear another?
I second that motion.
Perfect. Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, approved. Motion approved. Oh, hi. Thought we got a message from you, Director Brown. Well, we have Director Brown with us. All right, we're going to move on to the adoption of minutes. Are there any changes, anything with the prior minutes? Has everyone gotten an opportunity to look at those? Do you have any questions or concerns about that? Cool. So I'd like to move to adopt the meeting minutes.
I motion approval of minutes.
One,
I second that approval of minutes.
second, all in favor, aye.
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 Minutes have been approved. All right, any public announcements and communication? So that's all. I'll hand this over to you.
None at this time.
And thank you. And I'll back up a little bit. Do we need to make an announcement about all of our different channels at all, since we are now live, that I missed in the beginning?
I don't think so. Nothing took place. You called the meeting to order once you had live stream available.
All right, so last time we talked about civil rights board name change. That was up.
We haven't approved the agenda.
I apologize. I'm so sorry.
I move to approve today's agenda.
I actually have an addition. I would like to add an update from the education subcommittee to the agenda. I also would ask, can that be a standing agenda item moving forward?
Anything else?
I second that motion if it was a motion.
I don't know if we got a first. Director Beach, did you
Yes, I'm sorry, that was my motion.
apologize? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
All right. We'll move forward with those changes. I apologize for skipping that. All right. We're gonna move right along to, now that it's been accepted, the agenda's been accepted, excuse me for that. Like to move into Civil Rights Board name change discussion. And I can read Director Harrington's comment that she made. So start with that.
Director Houston, I know we approved changes to the agenda, but do we still need to deal with the motion that was on the table prior to the changes and the updates to the agenda to still approve the agenda? Do you know what I mean? Because Director Dela Cruz started that motion to approve the agenda. We never addressed that motion.
I missed it. Attorney Robinson, you help me out?
Sure. Well, the way I interpreted what you did is you took the comment made by Director Beach, and that was approved as if you will, as part of the approval of the agenda, if you will, and that was kind of the prerogative of the chair. However, Director Brown has now raised a point of order, and she's correct. What you did, you amended the order of business, and now you have to approve the agenda as amended. But you could have done, I mean, if nobody raised the point of order, it would have been considered done anyway. But she raised a parliamentary point of order, and she is correct.
Okay, cool. Do you
So
mind?
now the motion is to approve the order of business as amended.
So let's move to approve the order of business as amended.
And I do second that.
I don't think I can go first, though. If I'm not
I
mistaken.
move to approve the order of business as amended.
And I second.
All right. That has been approved. I apologize. Forgive me. Still learning this. It's just not enough time that we meet. So you got to forgive me. Sorry if you hear a child in the background. It's my 2-year-old, so she's yelling. All right. Am I safe now to move forward? As you guys are awesome. Seriously, thank you for the grace. So I want to read what Director Harrington said in regards to name change. She said that she's in favor. I'll just read her statement. I'm in favor of a name change to the Human Rights Board or Commission as evidenced by other boards around the country with similar missions and responsibilities to ours. However, I believe the confusion around who we are and what we do is a deeper issue and won't be solved by a name change. Our outreach visibility need to be better, and I think the suggestions being put forth by the Education Subcommittee will help to remedy the issue. I know Director Bonner talked a little bit about the process for a name change. I know that I think it'll probably be a good idea for us to have all of our board members present once we figure that out. But Attorney Robinson, do you want to touch on the process for that really quickly and what it looks like after we voted on a name change and what happens?
All that, well, by requesting a name change, it would be a recommendation to the City Commission to amend the ordinance to reflect the new name. And it's up to the City Commission to accept that recommendation, or they could reject it.
and then Attorney Robinson, then it would have to be read once, twice in a 30-day period.
Well, it doesn't have to be a 30-day period. It would go through introduction and then would come on to a subsequent meeting for adoption. It could also, even at the first reading, if nobody supported it, it would die at that point.
Thank you.
Attorney Robinson, this is Director Dela Cruz. Out of curiosity, is this the case for any amendments? Oh, sorry, the train. Would this be the process for any amendments, recommendations for amendments to the ordinance?
Yes.
Thank you.
And to that point, this is Director Glenn. I think after the reading of the ordinance and to the point that Director Harrington has made, there may be other suggestions for amendments. And so as we delve into this conversation, just putting out there what those suggestions might be, right? And opening it up for a broader conversation, because I would agree with that assessment that some recommendations to the City Commission around clarity of the board's purpose is necessary to proceed. So with that in mind, just, perhaps even tabling this conversation until we have a broader representation of the Civil Rights Board.
This is Director Beach, and I just want to lift up that I think there's a much bigger issue, that we have a lot of work to do, and a change of the name is a good step. And I think there is importance to the nuance between civil rights and human rights. But I also, to Director Glenn's and De La Cruz's point, there are other things we are going to want to work on. And I am concerned of the amount of time we're doing some of these things, doing some of the wordsmithing instead of getting to work. I would rather get to work and working to figure out what those other areas are and what the work we need to do. And then maybe down the road, when we have another amendment recommendation, we then revisit the name conversation. When we already have another amendment that we're passionate about, that would be my recommendation.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Are we safe to move on to the new business item of briefly discussing the current complaint process? Cool. Did you guys receive an email May 28th about the complaint manual? Did you see all that? Did you see that? I am going to hand it over to Attorney Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. This is what we want is your input, and you don't have to necessarily approve this because it's an internal document, but we wanted to share with you the process that was going to be used to investigate complaints. This sets forth the roadmap that we will use when the city embarks upon the investigation of a complaint. So we wanted to share this with you, and it is in its final format, but we wanted to get your input into the document.
Attorney Robinson, this is Director Beach. Is there a time? So is this in a timeline where you need our input in a certain time frame to move a process forward, or is this our input? You would just like our input as for our input?
Well, I'd like your input as soon as possible, because if we're going to change methods or change anything in the document, I'd like to be able to do that moving forward, as opposed to starting on something that all of a sudden, oh, we've got to change. And then we got another change. And so I'd like to kind of have this in, while I won't say the cement is set, it's getting close. And so that's what I really, you have the opportunity to, if there's a language in there that's troublesome or you have some input, we'd like to hear it. But this is the process we want to use, and we're sharing it with you because you've indicated a desire to know how we're going to go about investigating the complaints. So this is it. And once we have that input, we can use this document moving forward.
Because I asked the question because I think this is something we requested, and I think this is a really important document. And I'm concerned about with having not the full board and a large part of the board missing. I think that could be a disservice to have this discussion without all of those voices.
You're muted, Director Houston or
Yeah,
Chair.
I was sorry. I brought it up, Jacob, to make sure everyone got it and saw it, but nothing to, we don't have to vote on anything or make any changes. I just wanted to make sure everyone got it. And if anyone had any questions for Director Robinson, then some of those questions will be addressed here. But no, I agree. Your point well taken.
I have some questions. This is just Director Glenn. So if a complaint comes in currently, is this the process that is used, Attorney Robinson?
That's what we're going to use, yes.
But if a complaint comes in tomorrow, the ordinance is in effect. So is this the complaint process that's currently used?
This is what we'll use, yes.
Okay. So on the draft that I received, well, so this is the question. On the document that I received, there was a background text with final on it. But what you're saying is it's not yet final.
That's the point I was making, that the cement hasn't dried, but it's getting close.
Yeah.
That was initially a draft, and there was discussion internally between myself and Director Bonner, as well as Deputy City Manager Chamberlain. And so it was vetted internally. And so it was no longer a draft. This is what we came up with based upon that internal discussion going forward and how we were going to address complaints and the process that we were going to use to investigate complaints.
Thank you. I see this document as one that is critical for feedback by our board and also for the community. And I would recommend a line-by-line reading, just as we did with the ordinance, because with great specificity, so that the community is clear on what this process looks like internally, and also has confidence that if they submit a complaint, they believe it is going to be handled appropriately. I have some kind of, broad questions, but I do think that that another line-by-line reading is a very good use of our time, and soliciting that community feedback for questions of clarity, for feedback on how to create a more equitable process. I know that having a document in place and a process in place is critical, but we have one. And if this is being used right now, knowing that there is something in place so that if a complaint can move forward and we're not stymieing anyone's access and rights to this process, and making sure that if there are enhancements and improvements that can be made for accessibility, they're going to be made. So that would be my suggestion. But whether we wait for a full attendance by all board members to do that, I'll leave for my fellow board members and colleagues to decide. But that's my recommendation.
So this is Director Brown, and I will be honest, I didn't get through reading everything in this document, as dealing with a lot of other stuff as well. But I guess my only concern, and actually you raised it, Director Glenn, is that, you know, this is a process that's definitely being put into place that we will be a part of. And for me, I'm a little concerned about the wording of the cementing, because I feel that whenever we're putting a process in place, and of course, us as a board getting used to this process, there are probably more than likely going to be adjustments. And I would like to know like how those adjustments may be made to ensure that we are being effective, that we're actually, being as thorough as we can. And again, we connect with our community, ensure that they can trust in the process and trust what we do, and trust that, we're willing to look at adjustments as needed. Because I think that, all really honestly, all we can give right now is really best guess and what we think may work. It's not until that process goes into place where we're going to know then very clearly what probably really needs to be adjusted, or suggestions for change or recommendations for change once that process goes into place. It seems to always happen that way. We can put our best guess, and I will, Attorney Robinson, get my my thoughts and any suggestions and questions that I have about this document. But I think my bigger concern is that we still remain flexible to a certain extent, understanding that it's not until we start to really work this process, and as this process goes forward, that we are going to really see if what we have in place is truly thorough and works and is effective and meets the needs and gets the results that we're expecting it to. And that's just my only concern, really, to be honest with you.
This is the city attorney, Clyde Robinson. Let me see if I can address the concerns that have been raised. This was not invented out of whole cloth. The document that you reviewed was based on, and in some parts lifted wholly from, the process that the city of Grand Rapids uses. So I looked at their investigative manual as a template and used that to draft this, making it more germane to obviously our process, but nonetheless, it is copied for the most part of what the city of Grand Rapids has used and has been using. So I hope I can allay some of your concerns in that this is based upon a process that's already been used in a major city and has been vetted through that organization.
This is Director, oh, sorry.
This is Director Beach. I think what Director Glenn suggested, I think there is value in a line by line reading. I think it is a good use of our time. I would recommend we wait at least till we can have, if not all board members present, to do it, because I think as board members, we need to understand this process like the back of our hand and be able to speak to this process. So I think it's valuable for us as a board. I also would ask if potentially Chair Houston, we do a poll, because our next board meeting is July 7th, which is right around the holiday. Because I do think it's important that if we have to call a special meeting to do so, because I do think this should happen sooner rather than later, and I don't want it. I think this is important.
I was going to suggest a special meeting should be called for the reading of this line by line. And will this document, so Attorney Robinson, will this be public or will it just be internal? Will it be posted like our bylaws, or is it just going to be internal that citizens will be able to see?
It's going to be an internal document, but there's no reason why it can't be posted on our website. It's not there's nothing secret about it.
And I think that will probably alleviate some citizens' concerns as well if it was made public. I didn't know if there was a problem with it being made public when it's finalized.
I have a tangential question, or a request actually. I was on the City of Kalamazoo's website earlier, and I noticed on the homepage there's that quick link section, with the quick links. And I was hoping that whoever takes care of the website or updates it could add the Civil Rights Board complaint button to that webpage. I just think it would be like more accessible. I know it's kind of like off topic, but I was just thinking about it. I think that'd be helpful rather than having to dig through the tabs.
This is Director Glenn. The more that we can instill transparency and access, the more people are going to trust in this process and trust in this board and trust that this ordinance means something for the community. And so I want us to just return to that concept. And I think it's really undergirding everything that we've raised today, but also just a process that's participatory, and that line by line reading is why I think this is so important. Yes, so we understand, but so the community can provide that feedback in some live time feature.
So Chair Houston, can you, will you organize a special meeting to do so? Yeah, can you coordinate that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Really quick, because we're calling a special meeting, I just want to kind of put a note in. Can we make sure before we call a special meeting, maybe we can just ask availabilities? I'm being very honest. June is bad for me. This is actually, I got married this month, yay! But I have a major trip planned. And thank you. So yeah, we're celebrating our anniversary, but I have a huge trip planned, and I will. I don't think my wonderful spouse would be too happy if I was in a special meeting during our honeymoon or our anniversary trip. So I'm just asking as a personal request if we can avoid after the 21st. Maybe sooner than that. Then I'm all yours, and then you got me. But if it's after that, I want to just be upfront with the board that Director Brown definitely will not be available, as I still want to stay married and not have problems. So if that's okay, but otherwise, I think it's a lovely idea, and I look forward to it.
So can we talk about availability? Does Wednesdays typically work for people on this phone call? Because we're looking at the 9th and the 16th really is the reality. If a Wednesday works, but I'm not sure if there are any other days work, at least for anyone on this call or in this meeting. And I'll reach out to.
I think in order for I think if we can look at the entire week and just see when we can, the soonest we can get in, I think before the 21st should be manageable. So Director Brown can enjoy her honeymoon.
Thank you, Director.
I can add, as a side note from IT, because I happen to be on this call, I can tell you right now, you'll want to look outside of the 9th or the 16th, because both of those on your normal time slot will not be available for you to meet during.
Thank you very much. Okay, then I will just send out an email with dates.
Director, Chair Houston, Director Kick, sorry, do you have the availability, or can you or Tanessa send out the dates and times that are available for us to stream?
Yes, I will reach out to IT and get dates that are available, and then I will send them to the board, and then we can figure that out that way.
Clerk's office, please. Start with Shelby in the clerk's office. She has the master schedule.
Perfect, sounds good, and I will get that to the board.
Thank you.
So it sounds like to me that a couple things today that we're going to be shelving until we have a full board members, right? And then we're going to call a special meeting for all the board members to go over the complaint investigation guide or the process. Am I understanding that correct? IT, I was wondering, do we have any citizens' comments at this present moment?
I had, I added an agenda item.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. It's about the education. I wrote that down, Jacob. Dr. Jacob. Director Beach. All right, go for it, sir.
Oh, I lost director. Oh, there she is. So we met, the educational subcommittee met at the end of last month. We did with the city did host 2 intro to rental assistance trainings that I presented at as the program director of housing resources with Pine Grove Housing. The attendance was low from landlords. Tanessa, do you have the number of how many people we had attended by chance?
I don't have the exact number. I know the first meeting that there was 21, and the second meeting there were 9.
And I think some of those included the people presenting, correct?
No, it did not include the presenters.
Right. So not great attendance from a lot of landlords, but in conversations with those who did attend was great. We are going to be working over the next month to get some answers around how we can get things onto the city's website, as well as on Facebook, and then looking at those educational materials that we wanted for the public. So kind of beginning to get that information so we can get a process out of identifying, asking for requests of what we want available, including those training slides that were at the training and other materials like that. So we're getting to work. I just wanted to provide that update, and I think the real focus is going to be finding a centralized place for everyone where they know they can go to get the information. So they have all the information they need to follow the ordinances, to be empowered to utilize the ordinances and know their rights. So that is what we are working on currently. Director Brown, anything I missed?
No, Director Beach is always very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Beach. Sorry about that. Attorney Robinson, never mind. It doesn't. We're good. We're good. Do we have any citizens' comments?
No, there are no comments at this time.
Okay, just so I won't miss it. Anything that Attorney Robinson, I'll refer to you just to make sure I'm good and not missing out on anything. Since we're tabling this, and I know that we're not at the end, but since we're tabling this, do I need to do anything formal, parliamentary?
I don't know that you've really tabled or postponed it. You've basically said that you're going to call a special meeting. And I suppose if you wish to, you could add again, the proper term is not tabling. You're postponing till a certain time. And that would be postponing until, but unfortunately, you don't have a certain time. You don't have a meeting. So my suggestion would be that you've had this general discussion. There's general consensus that you're going to take up the issue at a special meeting that can be arranged in the next 2 weeks or so. And you're going to find out what times and dates would work.
Well, you said it for me.
And that's the only thing that requires a special meeting is 18 hours notice.
Perfect. And we will be hearing from Director Kirk, right? Or do you want me to partner with you at all? Do you want me to help out with time and dates or anything? I mean, I know I don't work for the city, but.
No, I think Tanessa is going to help with the clerk's office to get the dates. I just really wanted to be a part of the discussion in terms of the process manual. That was really where I wanted to be able to help out with the discussion and like where that was going to go. So I'll definitely want to be a part of that line by line reading, just as it kind of gels with the ordinance and kind of all of that language. That was really where I was hoping to be helpful tonight.
Were you a part of helping put this together?
Yes, very much
wonderful.
so. With the ordinance, I was kind of the third wheel with Clyde and Dorla. just a passion, and really wanted to make sure, again, you know, my circle of influence is really in community engagement through my department. And so that's where I got really passionate about, you know, making sure we do have that space, you know, on the website where these things live. Like Jacob's kind of talking about, where are all these resources? Where are all these pieces? How do we make sure we're engaging people? And so if any of those tasks or action items came out of this board, you know, I would pick up that ball and I would run with that. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any miscellaneous comments by any board members?
Actually, I do have a miscellaneous, and it's truly miscellaneous. So I've had some wonderful changes in my life, some updates. I need to know very quickly. I want to make sure that all correspondence goes to the right email, because actually got a new job. Yay. So yeah, it's a little promotion, but so can someone, and this is, I know this sounds crazy, but I need to know, who do I contact, or who would be the person that I would update my information with, so that I make sure that I do get notified of everything. Trying to be a little earlier than late. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. This comes right in time for me to ask, because I don't know exactly who I need to update with. So
Yeah. If you want to send your information to me, Director
okay.
Brown, and then I can also make sure that everyone, I'll send that information to the board, and as well as the clerk's office and IT, to make sure that you're getting the information for the meetings at the end.
Thank you so very much. And I will do that immediately after the call. Thank you.
Nah, you're welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it. Yay. Thank you.
This is Director Beach. I have two things I would like to share. The first is for the community. There is assistance for renters who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. If you are in need of assistance of back rent or utilities, you can go online to housingresourcesinc.org. There is assistance available with the eviction moratorium coming at the end of this month. Please reach out for help. If you have any questions, you can use our website to contact housingresourcesinc.org. I also did want to acknowledge that it is June, which is Pride Month. And I think as a civil rights board, it is important for us to acknowledge that the work we're doing is building on work that generations and generations before us have fought for these rights. I am a happily married man to my husband, and not too long ago that wouldn't have been an option. So I think it's important to celebrate that and to acknowledge that. And so I just wanted to share.
Thank you, Director Beach. Any other comments by any board members? No. Nothing. This has been the shortest meeting that we've ever had, everyone.
You know why, Director Houston? Because you have your efficient people on the call. Oh, I forgot this is being recorded. Oh, no. No, I was kidding.
You threw it out.
Good evening, everybody.
What'd you say?
Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Hopefully you all have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Bye. Good to see you.
Bye.
Everybody's